Hello and a very warm welcome to The Poverty. I am Syed Mudawar and this is our 8th episode of this series. Today's episode is going to be another deep dive into what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir on the issue of reservations. 23rd December 2024 became a politically significant day that marks the beginning of a new chapter in the politics of Jammu and Kashmir. It has been a drought of political expression on part of Kashmiri population that in the recent past could only get expressed through the participation in elections of Lok Sabha and the Legislative Assembly. But the issue of the increasingly controversial reservation policy has actually brought to the front the core intention of politicians across various parties in the region. A huge number of people at a single place protesting against the state for its anti-general category policy with a representative from the ruling party leading the protest. Given what has happened to Jammu and Kashmir in the recent past, such scenes are only possible in Jammu and Kashmir. In reality, it would be correct to count Jammu and Kashmir not as a normal unit of the country, but as a vessel entity subservient to the diktats of a center that has proven that it has minimal interest in what the citizens of the region wish or want or what is in their best interest. Jammu and Kashmir is in a nursery that is being nourished and developed politically on the lines of issues that aggrieve the rest of the country, and reservations is one such issue. For a detailed understanding of the reservation problem, please refer to the episode on the issue of reservations in Jammu and Kashmir. And a like and subscribe to the channel would be empowering. Let's start with what happened on the day. A huge crowd of aggrieved open merit/general category students were seen assembling behind the Member of Parliament from Srinagar belonging to the ruling party of the UT National Conference, Mr. Aga Ruhullah Mehdi. Not only open merit students but a band of politicians from various political parties also reached Gupkar Road outside the residence of Mr. Umar Abdullah to raise the issue of reservations. The politicians of note who were present there were Mr. Wahid Parra, MLA Pulwama, Mr. Khurshid Ahmed, MLA Lange, Mr. Junaid Azim Muttu, the former mayor of Srinagar, Mr. Inamun Nabi, spokesperson Awami Ittihad Party, Ms. Iltija Mufti, daughter of JK PDP President Ms. Mehbooba Mufti, along with others. Even Mirwais of Kashmir, Dr. Umar Farooq, had intended to join the students for the protest, but according to his X handle, he was disallowed by the authorities from leaving his residence. The people who reached the protest site got to witness Mr. Ruhullah and Mr. Wahid Parra addressing them. Then a delegation of students was sent to the Chief Minister, who interacted with the students, and the Chief Minister heard the concerns and made promises on the resolution of this issue. The promises included the possibility of reducing the economically weaker section quota from 10% to a certain number. Also, the students were told that the subcommittee formed for the purpose of rationalization of reservations will be filing its report within 6 months, and the major changes shall be made after the report is finalized. He also said that the case is in the High Court and the decision of the High Court is awaited in the matter. Even Mr. Ruhullah seemed unsure of the powers of the Union Territory government and the Legislative Assembly with regards to changing the policy as it has been designed and legislated by the Parliament of India, which obviously has precedence over the Legislative Assembly of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The students and politicians addressed the media as well. It was a scene unseen in the region except elections over the last 5 years. So where are we now? A protest, an address, a meeting, and a conference of politicians that has clearly shown the dissatisfaction against the reservation policy that was developed and drafted by the BJP government for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Within the domain of governance, this policy can now be called a failure of the center in understanding and designing the reservation policy for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. But reservation in current times is not about policy. Rather, it has become a tool to gain votes. BJP in the recently concluded elections had a slogan, "Ehsan ke badle ehsan," which roughly translates to favor for favor. It was a slogan for the categories of people who had been awarded reservations by BJP, that is ruling the country from the center, and can be called a de facto bribe for voting for them in the elections of the assembly. After an abnormal delimitation exercise, a reservation advance, and an unabashedly communal slogan of having a Hindu chief minister for the first time in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, BJP had to contend itself with the role of the primary opposition party. The parties that showed neutrality in their stance towards BJP post August 5, 2019, including a spree of independent candidates from Kashmir division, could not help the party in crossing the numbers for forming the government. The students protesting have expressed their demands in open and have been supported by almost all the significant political entities of Jammu and Kashmir. This puts people's demand right in open and some sort of leverage in the hands of National Conference with which they can work a bit more positively towards the issue of reservations and speak in an assertive manner on the issue. This also opens the prospects of negotiation between the elected government and the LG government, unless a counter from BJP planning cell is initiated by instigating the reserved category populations, which is going to be an unethical move, but we all know that BJP has no consideration for any rule book. A good thing is that an MLA from BJP has shown support to the cause of the general category students. This might be a good sign, but the central command of BJP might again be planning something contradictory to the local voice, as has been happening in the recent past. This point gets substantiated by the statement of Mr. Tarun Chugh on this issue. There might be attempts of making this a Kashmir versus Jammu issue, so the general category population of Jammu, which seems to be blindly supporting the BJP, has to remain cautious that communalism isn't the agenda of this protest and it has the interest of Jammu as well in it. The issue of reservation and the policy of reservation, if using the terminology of BJP, is an anti-Jammu and Kashmir stance that is attempting to divide the people of the region on the basis of reservations, which might also feed the already flowering tree of communalism, especially in Jammu. Now coming to the part of how can this issue be resolved and who can override the legislation on reservation done by the Parliament of India. There are 4 ways of going ahead. First is the business rules that are going to define the domain of powers in the hands of the Legislative Assembly when it comes to the subject of reservations, and the power to change the reservation, which has been already allocated by the Parliament. The nearest example is that of New Delhi, which happens to be a union territory with a legislature. In the case of New Delhi, although the Legislative Assembly has power to make rules on reservation, but if the Parliament has legislated on the matter and the ruling of Legislative Assembly is repugnant to the legislation made by the Parliament, then the law made by the Parliament shall prevail. Please refer to Article 239 AA of the Indian Constitution. This way, it is very difficult for the Legislative Assembly to override reservation policy made by the centre. The second way, and probably the best bet in the current arrangement, seems to be the judiciary. The judiciary can declare the acts of Parliament as null and void using the power of judicial review according to Article 32 and Article 226 of the Indian Constitution. The High Court can give relief to the aggrieved, but there are 2 major concerns in this case. First being the speed at which judiciary functions, and the second being the recent trends in the functioning of the judiciary and its attempts to align itself with the policies of the government in order to make a wholesome state setup that is integrated in its approach towards various issues of the country. Although it is most probably a case favoring the general category, but in current times it is hard to predict which way the balance will swing. The third being a private member bill brought by an MP from J&K, which most probably can be Mr. Ruhullah. He is leading the protest, but he seems to have forgotten his own powers and the role he can play in taking up the issue in the Parliament. He can consult the MPs from Jammu and Kashmir and can rally all to make the change. The question is that why hasn't this happened? And also whether the majority will pass this bill in the Parliament or not. The fourth and the most determining possibility would be the grant of the statehood to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which would empower the region to create its own reservation policy for appointments to state services and state educational institutions. This would also relieve the NEET and JEE aspirants, as 85% quota will go to the state and it would go according to the policy designed by the state government. The ball is in the court of the central government, as it has been holding on to power and been looking to tighten its grip on various units of the country where it doesn't have an elected government. The question that remains is the return of the statehood to Jammu and Kashmir, which, according to the judgment of the Supreme Court, must be given as soon as possible. The CM had gone to meet the Home Minister on the issue of statehood and most probably got a class from Mr. Amit Shah on how to proceed with the reservation policy under the current arrangement. The politics of Jammu and Kashmir is showing signs of change and is in a way showing concern over daily living of the individuals. This needs to be recognized by the center, as the extended grip over authority in Jammu and Kashmir can cripple the confidence of people in their rights as citizens of India. This was today's episode of The Poverty. I hope that you liked it and would like to know from you what you want to be discussed in the following episodes. Until next time, keep your tea strong and your thoughts stronger. This is me, Syed Mudawar, signing off. Goodbye and take care. There are 4 ways of going ahead.